I felt like I was so trapped or stuck for so long because I didn't know how to actually love myself. And it seems crazy to even say those words, but I know that there are so many people out there that are feeling the same way that I felt. And I have 3 steps that has actually helped me to really bring more love and appreciation back into my life. Step number 1 is look after your outer self or your physical body. Now, there's going to be so much advice out there, especially in today's time where we just have what seems like more information than we'll ever need. But for the advice for self-love, a lot of the advice is actually really, really good. It is look after yourself, go make sure you're getting good sleep, make sure you're eating well and doing regular exercises and bringing passions and hobbies that you love back into your life. And even for us men, a lot of the advice is harden up, you'll be fine, go to the gym. These are still great advice. Back in my 20s, I was a professional cricket player, and some of the greatest years that I've had because we had all of the latest and greatest information on how to take your physical body to the next step. All of the gym sessions, heavy lifting or just strength sessions, sprinting sessions, long conditioning sessions, anything and everything you could think of we had. We had all the coaches and physios, nutritionists, mental skills coaches. We had everything on tap. And it was one of the most amazing places to be. And that is why it is my first step, because I believe that we all need to have some form of self-love for our physical body. And I would say find something that you enjoy doing or you're just interested in, finding something new, trying new things. But there is so much out there, from yoga, Pilates to walking, hiking, running, sprinting even, to gym sessions, power lifting. Gosh, there's endless stuff. And even sport or doing martial arts. All of these are amazing things. And I think it is so important for us, especially in today, to look after our physical body, to really start to understand how we're moving, how we're functioning, and also getting fitter and stronger at the same time. When I was a sportsman, there was an interesting part where I had actually reached one of the lowest internal places that I've actually been to in my life. And it was a weird one because from the outside I looked like I was doing very, very well, traveling the country, playing on TV, and doing all those sorts of things. But on the inside, I was actually really struggling. But what it actually started to bring was looking after your physical body isn't enough. And that's what brings us on to step 2. Step number 2 is look after your inner self or your soul, your consciousness, that amazing personality of yours that controls the physical body. Because what I started to find out was that I was actually chasing these specific emotions, these specific kind of feelings that I thought was love in my life. And it wasn't relationship bias or outside of, so it wasn't relationship love or any type of external love. It was purely self-love. It was that self-appreciation. Some of the best advice that I've actually found so far actually comes from a book from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And it's one of the best books that I've ever read. And what he actually starts to say in this is that the emotion of love is not actually an emotion at all. It is more of a feeling that we get addicted to, and we are constantly trying to find that next fix. We're constantly trying to find all of these feelings of the so-called love. And when we don't have it in our lives, we then label ourselves as the type of person that doesn't have love in our life. And it just becomes this endless cycle. And he goes on to say that love is not an emotion, but a state of being. And I started to really, really love this advice, because for so long I was chasing these feelings of love, or trying to chase these things of these emotions of self-love, feeling appreciated. And what it actually was that as soon as I started to change the state of being that I was that I ended up receiving it instead of chasing it. And I do this by meditation. Now, for me, one of the best practices I think that everybody should get into in some form or the other is meditation. But just spending time by yourself, it starts to bring so much awareness to how you are functioning, your breathing, your just however your autonomous functions are going, your thoughts, your emotions, and just things that are happening on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute basis without you even knowing. And by just tuning into yourself, you start to become so aware of just how you are actually functioning. A very simple practice that you can do is actually just tuning in to all of your senses. Now, you don't have to be meditating. You can do this while you're at work or on the way to work, or not while you're driving, obviously, but maybe on the bus or whatever it is. You can do this at any time. And it's just about tuning in to all of your senses and your breathing. And when you start to do this, you start to become so present. You become what Eckhart Tolle says is that you start to become in the now. And when you are in this state, you don't have all of these worries and all of these things that your mind is constantly bombarding you with, causing stress, causing all of these different types of just these frustrations and all of these other types of feelings that we have. And when you start to do this, you start to realize that you are actually creating this love. Because why it is love is because you start to appreciate all the things that are around you. You start to see all the things for who they are or what they are. And this is why he talks about it being real love. And for the times that I've actually experienced this, has been some of the most amazing states that you can be in. And it's the only thing I can explain as like bliss. It's like the state of just joy, where there's nothing that's holding you down, or you don't have any of these burdens or anything like that. You're just in this present state. And that's why I absolutely love it, because you aren't worried about chasing these feelings and sensations. You're actually just creating the person you want to be. And that brings us to step number 3, the last step. And it's the simplest step. But that is action. Because without action, without going out and doing that yoga, doing the gym sessions, and doing all of that step 1 work, going and sitting down and meditating and doing the inner work like in step 2, none of those stuff will happen. You won't get any progress. And that brings us to step 3. And it is actually the simplest step, but it also can be very difficult for a lot of us to actually do, and that is simply action. Because just listening to somebody to tell you to go and do something, listening to these videos of self-improvement or self-love or whatever it is, you still have to get off the couch and go and do it. You still have to go and do those things. Like it is in step 1 and step 2. Step 1, without action, you will never get fitter, you'll never get stronger, you will never actually progress. Step 2, with no action, you'll never find that inner peace, that state of love, that state of being that you actually really wanting. And what happens when you combine all of those steps? I found that you actually become extremely aware of the type of person that you are. I've started to become so grateful and appreciate who I was. I saw that I was making gains in my physical body. I saw that I was feeling healthier. I was feeling like I had more energy. I had all of these benefits that were becoming so noticeable. And I could also start to see that the work that I put in on my inner self of getting myself into this amazing state, I started to just appreciate the person that I was, the person that I was going to be, and also everything that was around me. That to me was what self-love is. Real, genuine self-love. I hope you got something from this video. If you did like it, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.